Cryptozoology is the study of hidden animals. Today we are going to look at the Beast of Barrisdale, one of Scotland's most mysterious and elusive legendary creatures. There are very few accounts of it, partly because of its supposed location, which is remote and wild, and partly because it is often confused with its near neighbour, the Loch Horn monster. The Loch Horn monster is very much in the Loch Ness style of monster, namely the sea serpent type, while the Beast of Barrisdale is a different kettle of fish altogether. Loch Horn is arguably the most fjord-like of Scottish lochs. It runs inland from the open sea at the Sound of Sleat, which separates the mainland from the Isle of Skye. It is 14 miles or 22 kilometres long to the eastern end at Kinloch Horn and has a maximum depth of about 600 feet. At the western end, its meeting with the Sound of Sleat, it is 3 miles wide, but gradually narrows to about 1/5 of a mile at the head. There are no major roads in the area, and most of the shoreline is reachable only by boat or foot. There have been reports of a Loch Ness sort of monster in the loch for at least 150 years, the most famous sighting dating back to August 1872, when a party of 6 people on a yacht saw the creature several times over 2 days. There were other eyewitnesses to some of these sightings as well, some of them by experienced sailors, so it seems unlikely to be a hoax, whatever it was. The Loch Horn monster may in fact be one and the same as the Loch Morar monster, which we have discussed previously, as the two lochs are only some 6 miles apart, and both empty into the Sound of Sleat, and thence the open ocean. The Beast of Barrisdale is supposed to haunt the wild, remote hills to the south of Loch Horn. Barrisdale Bay, from which the name comes, is about 2/3 of the way down the loch from the open sea. What makes the beast different to the loch monsters is the fact that it can fly. Sightings of the Beast of Barrisdale are rare, most going back to the mid-1800s, and in fact there has been no sighting for over a century, so whatever cryptid might have led to the reports has presumably now died. But there were sightings in Victorian times. Towards the end of the 19th century, Crofter from Barrisdale reported that he saw the creature frequently flying over the Knoydart Hills to the south of Loch Horn. One day, he said, it even chased after him, seemingly intending to attack him, and he barely made it home safely, having to slam his door in the beast's face. The beast is generally described as being about the size of a donkey, with a mane and tail, a broad head, overhanging jaw, huge wings, and only 3 legs, 2 being at the front and 1 at the back. It was said to have a terrifying roar. Most reports, in fact, tend to be of the sounds the creature made rather than actual sightings. In some accounts it does have 4 legs though, as an account by Ranald McMaster, then gamekeeper at Barrisdale, shows from when he found its tracks in the snow. This was told to the writer Callum MacLean in 1952 by Father Andrew MacDonald, who had accumulated the local stories. The account reads, "The description of the tracks given by the keeper is interesting. The marks left on the snow were almost round and about 4 inches in diameter, and gave the impression of a very heavy animal. There were indications of 4 toes in the circumference, but most remarkable of all, there was no central pad. Instead, there was left a somewhat flat cone of snow, much as is left when a bottle is put down and lifted straight. To add to its mysterious nature, at a distance of about 4 inches behind the impression of the paw, there was the mark of a long, powerful claw, which having penetrated the snow pulled up pieces of peat moss and sprinkled the same on the snow." In 1906, MacDonald had reported on the same incident in the Oban Times and said that the keeper followed up the spoor until he came to a long rocky ledge rising up in front of him to a height of from 12 to 14 feet, and there on the top were clearly imprinted the mark of 4 large paws. So unless this 4-legged beast also swam in the loch, it may be that 3 different creatures were once believed to inhabit the area. What could the Beast of Barrisdale be? It may be that the legends are a result of a mixture of mistaken identity, hysteria, and too much whiskey, but there is presumably a grain of truth to be found somewhere. Its basic description is similar to the Jersey Devil of America, which is sometimes said to be horse-like and have wings, and which dates back to the days of the pioneers. It is also reminiscent of the strange three-legged Enfield monster reported in Illinois in 1973. But a three-legged, pony-sized flying animal is surely not something that is likely to be found in nature, and so to make any kind of hypothesis, we must take the descriptions with a grain of salt. To find an animal of that size capable of flight, we must go back millions of years to the age of the dinosaurs. The largest animal ever to fly was a pterosaur, Quetzalcoatlus northropi, which lived around 67 million years ago. It had a wingspan of some 11 meters. A smaller relative, Quetzalcoatlus lawsoni, had a wingspan of about 4.5 meters. This is a meter or so wider than that of the largest living bird, the wandering albatross. Quetzalcoatlus northropi would have had a very strange gait. While vampire bats use their wings to help them move forward, the bone structure of Quetzalcoatlus northropi would have prevented this. To walk on the ground, the pterosaur would have had to first raise one arm wing, then move the same side's leg forward, and then place its hand claw on the ground. The process would then be repeated on the other side, and so on. This may seem an awkward way of moving, but Quetzalcoatlus northropi would have been adept at doing it. This gait matches some fossilized tracks located in France, which are too strangely shaped for a regular four-legged animal to have made. This strange way of walking might have caused the three-legged descriptions of the Beast of Barrisdale. So was there once, not so long ago, a last relict of the pterosaurs of the Cretaceous period, or their evolutionary descendant, living in the wild areas of Scotland? We shall probably never know, but it is, at least, an interesting thought. Cryptozoology is the study of hidden animals.